Welcome back, everybody. It's Tuesday. That means we've got Talk Openly, Lions Roar Dharma Center. My name is Jack. I am always so happy to be accompanied by my pal, Daniel. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, Jack. It's nice to see you.
It's very nice to see you too.
Ain't no party like a talk openly
It's there,
party.
it really no, there's not. It doesn't exist elsewhere in the universe, which is really cool.
We've said that before.
I
There's
know.
nothing else in the entire universe like this. I think it's true though.
I think it's
Yeah.
true. I mean, every moment is a new moment. So it's
Yeah.
true that talk openly is its own thing. Its
It
own thing.
is, yeah. We have so many episodes, Jack.
Do we?
We do.
Where are we at?
I don't even know. I don't even know how many. We had a while ago, we switched from our previous sort of like podcasting solution to streaming onto the Lions Roar Dharma Center YouTube channel and being on the podcast there.
Hmm.
And just since we did that, I mean, I think we had like, I don't know, like well over 100 in the previous one. And we've got like
Wow.
23 episodes on the YouTube channel. So
Wow. That's really cool.
yeah.
That's great.
One day they're going to
Wow.
make a movie about us.
No. No. No movies happening here.
Okay, all right, all right. It'll just be the podcast hanging out there in cyberspace
Yeah.
along with all that other content.
Yeah, there you go.
All
I
right.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, tonight we're going to be talking in the second half of our show about um, how we can bring struggles, specifically financial struggles, to our Dharma practice, and just kind of learn how to cope and manage with what otherwise is usually a pretty stressful event to have some kind of like financial difficulties. So it's definitely relevant for me tonight, and I'm looking forward to hearing what we get to open up for ourselves and the audience tonight.
Yeah, without a doubt. I know it's actually I've had a number of experiences with financial instability and not, having sort of a sense of scarcity. Um, and I think that this topic is extremely relevant nowadays. More and more people are feeling the pinch.
Yeah,
And financial insecurity is scary. It's stressful, right?
yeah,
We're just going to talk about how to reduce the stress.
right.
I
Yeah,
don't know if
we
we're going to be
don't
able to
have
get rid of
really,
it.
yeah, we don't know how to get you more money, but maybe how to cope a little bit better. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, nice. Well, how are you doing? How's life? Your training, all the things.
Well, I'd say uh okay, they're not separate things, are they?
Yeah.
So life has been giving the eight worldly cons oh no, not the eight worldly concerns. I'm going to call them the eight worldly winds have been blowing, and I
Oh,
have had opportunity to to remain sort of to develop some equanimity during the sort of, I like to think of it more like waves though, And so, yeah, it's just been a little stormy,
yeah,
and I gotta say, my practice and my connection with our teacher has really reduced the amount of pain and suffering that kind of can come with it. It's a
yeah.
little bit just kind of taking it all in stride, and not losing my shit, just being like, all right, that's what's happening now.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, there's all kinds of, I think, great, basically a decent amount of like family strife, I guess you could call it. Like I mentioned it a little bit last week, and it hasn't quite got, things have kind of calmed down, but it's not like all involving me directly, but I'm in the middle of
yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah, just like, Mama tells us, like, if we're gonna do this training, that means we're gonna be in the middle a lot.
Right, right. And that has been really helpful, right? Like his words and reminders about that. I got to have Darshan with him on Friday, and I was like, I was like, the first words out of my mouth was like, Mama, I want to run away. I just want to run away and
Yeah.
leave it all behind, you know. But I'm not doing that. So I'm here for some advice.
How
Like
to stay with it.
how to stay with it, stay in the middle of it. The secret is, in fact, something along those lines, right? Equanimity, staying in the middle, and then extending out and coming back, extending out and coming back, right? Always coming back to center. And one of the things that I really appreciated so much about him, like people who are aware of student-teacher relationships, or they're aware of Lama Jimpa and me or whatever, get just like I had strange ideas about it. I know other people also have strange ideas about it, right? And take it as this, oh, you're worshiping this man, and so
Mm,
so on and so forth. And I'm like, I don't try to get, don't try to explain too much.
hmm.
But one of the things that I just appreciate so much is his humanness, right?
Yeah.
His humanity. It is like it's beautiful. And so, he was able to relate what I was saying to his own current life situation. And he was like,
Yeah.
"Me too."
Yeah.
Me too. And I was just like, right, like how cool is that, right? Like my teacher also is dealing, it doesn't go away, it doesn't stop, right?
Right.
And I know that his advice is based upon his own experiences, and his, of course, his understanding of the Dharma without a doubt. But like he's such a precious resource. And so
Yeah.
I got to apply his teachings kind of in the moment live, and really I can see it. I'm like, oh, right. He reminded me, he was like, Daniel, there are other ways to practice Dharma. He was like, you could have gone to a monastery.
Hmm.
You can have a nice structured, you know, relatively peaceful life just studying the Dharma. You
Mm,
could have maybe gone down a Zen tradition or something like that. A lot of just sitting quietly.
yeah.
But that's not what you chose to do. Instead, you said that you wanted to actually, do this in life as a householder, and you wanted to practice Dharma, to learn the Dharma in connection with ordinary life.
Yeah.
Welcome. This is it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and it was a
Profound.
good remind. Like I'm like, right, yes, right, yeah. The practice on the cushion, that's all nice, that's good. But like I mean, the training rather on the cushion, right, and then the
Yeah.
actual real life practice. Anyway, so in that sense, it's been sort of a mixed bag. I'd say not altogether pleasant. Uh, but also at the same time, kind of eye-opening. Like I really feel a lot more connected and engaged with life in a way, both with my inner world, my heart space, right?
Mhm.
A lot more mindful of that aspect of my being, which is usually left sort of on the side. Uh,
Mhm.
and also being able to use that to connect on that level and to sort of mirror and be in the sort of energetic states of those around me. I'm learning to do that. I've always avoided that in the past. So, I've got my training wheels on and everything. Like I got my helmet, but I'm learning. And
Yeah.
so they're rich opportunities, and I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very rich opportunities. And yeah, I think, you brought up something so both beautiful and frustrating about this training is that over and over again, I get hit with the recognition that it's not like I'm going to reach some state where there's no longer any problems.
Nope.
It's actually
No.
this is it. This is all of it. And so seeing, like Lama, who is so, just profoundly wise and learned, um, going through his own struggles. I think you're right. Like it really does. make it like it hits home in a way that's different than just reading from a text. Because I think I don't know if that's exactly what like the kind of Nirmanakaya body idea is about, that it's like here's like live in action in this person in his like current life form, like practicing the Dharma
Right.
in, the kind of the random uh ugliness, beautifulness, all the things of the world that we interact with. And
Yeah.
so it's like you're right, there's no escape, there's no running away.
No, no, you can't. And that's actually to me, that's one of it's both helpful and I'd say mildly terrifying
Yeah.
is this, oh, oh, actually no escape.
Yeah.
It's hopeless, right?
Yeah.
And not in hopeless in a negative way, but there's no hope.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
right? And
It's
and
not
that's
going to
a
get
that's
you
a
some
relative that's a
easy place.
relative that's as Trungpa Rinpoche had suggested on numerous occasions, that hopeless place is a place of freedom, right?
Yeah.
And there's a clear sort of what I love about it is that it's tied to renunciation,
Mm.
right? Where there's a realization of like, well, what would I turn away from all of this? What would I run to? What would be my refuge, right? Would it be
Right.
isolation? Would it be whatever, drugs, alcohol, some other type of substance or whatever consumption sort of thing?
Mm.
What would it be? And I'm like,
Mm.
God, none of those things, right? I don't want any of that. Like I've been there, done that. Don't want any of that,
Yeah.
right? And so then I'm like, well, I guess I got to stay here and keep moving forward,
Yeah. Right. Right.
right?
Yeah, it is the whole recovery idea of, once you're sober, it's like you just get a new set of problems.
Yeah, they're better
Right?
problems.
They're better problems, but they're just a new set of
That's
problems.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Which
And
is
and we
kind of
can
great.
kind of relax into that a little bit
Yeah.
and be like, and that's what largely I think what we're talking about tonight is like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're not going to make the problem go away. We're just going to make it, we're going to try to make it not worse. And we're going to
Right.
try to do things in a way that makes it better.
Right. Yeah, and how interesting that it has this kind of like unintentional effect of oftentimes bringing about what you originally wanted, right?
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
like stability,
Oh
um,
yeah.
and yeah, peace of mind that I, maybe thought that the money was going to provide that. And so it's really, really
Right.
interesting.
Well, the
Yeah.
amazing part about it is that when you aim for stability, peace of mind, clarity, meaningful connection with other people, generosity, patience, when you practice virtuous behavior, then the unintended consequence might be not just that you feel pretty good and life doesn't
Yeah.
suck so bad, but you might actually bring value into this world and you might
Hmm.
be rewarded for that value,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I
Yeah.
know. It's so funny. Yeah. Just gotta
Okay,
relax.
we
Relax into it.
we have to save some of this good stuff
We do.
for the
Yeah.
second part. And
Yeah.
I gotta ask you, where are you at? How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm really like kind of, I don't know if I'm feeling burnout or something, but I have noticed that at work there's been a couple days where I just like have had a hard time like um being able to tap into compassion. And where I just feel kind of like, and this is not all the time. I get over it after a blip of it happening in a session, but where I'm just kind of feeling annoyed, where it's like there's bigger problems in the world. I think that's what I'm
Oh,
dealing with is like,
oh,
um, there's people being obliterated around the world. There's, people getting stolen from their families here in the United States. Like there's bigger problems.
yeah,
And so I just feel this kind of like, I don't know, irritation,
yeah.
which is not compassionate.
Yeah.
because it turns out that everyone's suffering is their own, right? And
Right.
that suffering is hard. And yes, it's some types of suffering are more like grossly or immediately impactful and dangerous and all the things. But suffering is suffering. And so um, I I recognize that maybe um, I think I need to be doing a lot of intentional practice around recognizing that and some kind of equanimity towards people in general that like um, we're all in this boat together. You know, we all want happiness. We're all suffering. And so be kind. And not that, I'm not that it's not that I'm
Hmm.
not kind, but I'm just feeling in my mind and in my heart this kind of like tightening around.
Makes
Um,
sense.
yeah. So
It's
it's
over.
interesting. I'm observing it.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's good. I mean, the mindfulness around the feeling and awareness of the feelings and the thoughts associated with it clearly are a good place to start. I couldn't help though. I had a
Yeah,
sort of a thought that I wanted to share with you when you were
please.
talking about this. Um, so first I was thinking, well, those very problems in the world, the big ones, the big problems, because of the interconnected nature of existence that some of what you might observe in your practice, in your at work and with other people, when you observe that suffering, could in fact be the fringe rippling
Hmm.
of those very core problems that you wish to alleviate,
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
then I thought, well, that's right. Lama oftentimes has said, if you want to, pick up the rug, the big problem,
Mm-hmm.
you can't pick it up from the middle. You
Mm-hmm.
can't take the big freaking problem and just pick it up and deal
Right.
with the issue. You have to start at the edge, at the fringe, and
Yeah.
start to pull it up, right? And it made me think of exactly this,
Mm.
that you want to resolve those big problems. Of course, you know that it's really difficult for you to be at the center, for example, of any one of them picking it up. But
Mm-hmm.
here you are right at the edge of it, feeling and seeing all of the ripple effect of all of this mess,
Mm-hmm.
and you're responding to it. And
Yeah.
so, since they're not separate, you're actually doing the work that you do and trying to help people alleviate their suffering, um, you're doing the actual thing that you want to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is true. I think that's I have an intellectual awareness of that. But there's like a way that
Oh,
it
yeah.
hasn't gone into the heart, right? Where it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that makes sense. And it doesn't
Yes.
feel like it.
Oh, 100%, Jack. Oh, I'm so glad
Yeah.
you said that because it's so easy for that to happen, right?
Yeah.
Like that's exactly the work that I definitely know I need to do, right? And has been pointed out to me very clearly, is that the intellectualization of all of this, it's fine. It's cool.
Hmm.
It's a cursory step.
Hmm.
Good, good. But then it's not happening in here, right? Like it's not
Right.
actually making it into this space. And that's where, we can do our various meditation practices. The thing that's been super helpful in this exact thing was been, of course, Tonglen, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that.
Yeah, the contemplative visual
That's right.
meditations where yeah, that really does help it kind of sink
It
in a little
does.
bit more.
Just a
Yeah,
little bit more, not
a little bit
just
more.
a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I appreciate your honesty, Jack. I really
Oh,
do.
sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's just it's been interesting also to like be in a place where I have developed some skills, right, from the Dharma, where I can observe, oh, this is happening right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad at myself. I'm not judging myself. I'm just kind of like, okay, that's a thing. That's a thing I'd like to work on. And so it's been good to see um my training really impact the kind of meta stuff that's happening, right? Where it's like, it's not just that I'm noticing maybe uncompassionate like behavior. It's that I'm aware of how I'm seeing that. And that I'm not being as judgmental or hateful towards myself for having
Yeah.
that thought or reaction towards
Yeah.
someone. And
Yeah.
it's so helpful for me, speaking of, seeing our teacher as a human person, right? It's really helpful for me when Lama tells me or has told the Sangha about times when, as a therapist, he's he's like really struggled, and struggled to feel compassionate towards someone or towards their problem. And so that's always just so helpful where it's like, okay, yes, right. I'm a human. I'm gonna have people that like I feel frustrated by, that kind of grate me a little bit.
Yeah.
But that doesn't that's just part of being a human. Yeah.
How do you separate the the story of a person's suffering, which is oftentimes difficult to relate to, and
Mm.
oftentimes feels like some BS, like what are you why are you
Hmm.
how could that
Hmm.
possibly be the cause of your suffering? Like
Totally.
that kind of thing where there's a judgment of the story or the narrative surrounding the hurt and the actual hurt that the person is
Yeah.
experiencing. How do you then do that, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean,
connect with
yeah.
the
That
soft.
is a crux of therapy, I think. Because and sometimes people bring a story like that feels somewhat surface in nature because there is something else going on.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily what seems like kind of just a like, okay, yeah, that sucks, but like what?
Right.
You know?
Right. There's actually, it
Um,
turns out that there's a whole bunch of stuff bubbling
yeah.
up below that, and they're not even aware of it.
Right. And it's a lot of just questions, like Uh, tell me more about that. What does that mean for you, when you say this?
Yeah.
If that were true, what would that mean about yourself? If that were true, what would that mean about other people or the world, right?
Yeah.
Just really kind of helping people dig, that yeah, usually there's something a little bit more fundamental and like universal where it's like things like, oh, I believe that I'm a bad person
Yeah.
or that like I'm selfish
Right.
or, um, all these manner of ways that we can think about ourselves,
Yeah.
that drive the kind of like more above the ocean level of the iceberg where it's like this thing upset me today because of, whatever.
And
Um,
do you see that? Thank you for the answer, by the way. It's helpful. And I
yeah.
wonder, do you see it's been said oftentimes that the sort of the superficial aspect, the monkey mind, if you will, is really fast, right? And that part of what needs to happen
Mm.
it through, for example, the questioning that you just said is in fact just slowing down
Mm.
and not skipping over. So somebody says, I'm really upset because I missed the train and now my whole life,
Right.
it's terrible, right?
Right.
And instead of being like, well, okay, so next time, here's the train table, here's the schedule, and next time, put the app on your phone and fix that problem.
Right. 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 Right.
Instead of jumping and continuing to leap forward with it, you have to kind of like slow it down and be like, well,
Yeah.
we're not gonna leave yet. We're gonna just
Right.
stay here for a minute. Is that
Right.
kind of like then you get to go
Yes.
deeper,
Yeah, you get to go deeper, slow it down.
slow it down.
Because yeah, so much of like that initial suffering, there's all these stories and narratives, that we have about what that means, or like exactly like something like missing a train and going to be late, for something. What does that mean about if you're late? What does that mean about you? And then kind of digging down like to these kind of, core beliefs that are usually come out of, um, uh, someone else's not so great opinions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or trauma or whatever it is,
Oh yeah.
that's not always going to be relevant. So
Oh,
yeah, it's interesting stuff. I really, I think I enjoy therapy in part because I really enjoy stories and I
mhm.
like reading subtext. My favorite kind of novels are ones where, they don't tell you very much.
Mhm.
But there's so much in the kind of in the surface level text that you get to read much deeper into it. And so that's totally what a human brings to therapy. And I just really enjoy that process.
You'd hate the t-shirt I just got from my friend. It says, "Don't hear what I'm not saying."
Don't hear what I'm not saying. I love that. That's great. I should get that. I should wear it to work.
It's like an autism kind of awareness shirt,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
great.
because he was
Okay.
telling me, he was like, yeah, it's the most frustrating thing about being autistic is that, you know, people think all kinds of things and they react to what I'm saying and they have all kinds of ideas, but I chose my words very carefully. I'm
Yeah,
trying to communicate only what needs to be said, and
right.
I'm being very thoughtful of it, and people, they have all kinds of ideas about what that means, and I didn't say any of that.
Yeah, for sure. That is so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to, if there's anyone listening who's autistic and would you be open to sharing, your perspective or story. I think that would be really cool to have on the show because neurodivergence is just it's part of our world and I think
Yeah.
can be like a window into yeah, different ways of seeing things,
Yeah.
different perspectives. And so
I have a friend
um
in the Sangha that I have a couple of friends actually in the Sangha who are neurodivergent on the autism sort of spectrum, both of whom have talked about it. And when I see them both, I'll ask them if they'd be willing to share.
cool. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah,
Cool.
thanks.
Yeah, of course.
So that's me. That's kind of where I'm
Yeah.
at.
Thanks,
I'm
Jack.
gonna be in Sacramento this weekend for
Woohoo.
the city retreat. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm not.
You're not?
No.
Bummer.
I know. It is a bummer.
That's
My
okay.
daughter has her like soccer final championship
Nice.
tournament going on, and um her mom's not able to be there with her or anything, and I don't want to leave her alone. So
Yeah. No, that's important.
it is important, but there's a part of me I'm like,
Yeah. Maybe
yeah.
you can be on retreat while you're there. Just like
Oh, I will
how to
be.
fully
Yeah.
be, meditating on soccer.
Yeah, yeah, I do soccer meditations every time
Nice.
I'm there. Yeah.
That's
If I
great.
didn't, I would probably lose my mind.
Totally.
Watching sports. I love my kids, and when they do sports, I'm so happy for them and proud of them. But being a spectator of sports, that's
Yep.
not my thing, man.
Not your
It's real
thing.
practice, real
Yeah.
practice. Yeah.
Good. What a good dad practice.
It is. It is. I learned patience and I
Yes.
learned to enjoy things that I don't naturally find enjoyment in.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
important.
it is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, it sounds like you're doing mind training, which I imagine we need to be doing some mind training too,
Let's
huh?
do some mind training, Jack.
Good.
Let's do it. Okay, so I'm gonna share
Woohoo.
my screen.
We've got the random Lojong slogan generator. Aha! Oh, 58. Ooh, this one's interesting. Don't
Yeah.
be like an open book. Crap. Well, don't talk openly.
Don't
I'm
be like an
concerned.
open book.
Let's see what Charlie Kyabgon has to say here. So, we don't need to display every passing emotion as if some kind of drama were going on every minute of the day. That approach is often confusing for other people. This Tibetan phrase literally means letting everybody know whatever emotion we are feeling. Okay, okay, I see now what he's saying. So not necessarily like what we're doing here, which is talking about our experience, but just always like whenever any kind of emotional whim comes through, just being like, just blurting it out and letting people know. And yeah, it's aggressive, right?
It is so aggressive. And okay, so as someone who doesn't handle other people's negative emotions all that well,
Mm,
there's a lot of times where I feel exactly that, where I'm like, whoa, 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 like, can you like, not, I don't, whatever.
yeah.
But I it's interesting because I'm actually trying to be a little bit more in my emotions, aware of them, and sharing them with other
Mm,
people. And so it's kind of funny to me because I'm like, like I'm not trying to bounce to that other extreme. Like normally I would just, like I'm not even aware of it. I'm not going to share it, you know.
yeah.
Uh, but but now I'm like, okay, so I'm aware, and there is some skill in like when and where to share it. And I gotta
Mm.
say, I think this is a good time to plug my not yet written book. You're
I,
aware of
I
it.
know the
It's been a
one.
minute. Figurative farts, right?
Yes.
It's fine. Everybody has emotional farts.
Yep.
We all do it.
We let them
There's a
go.
time and a place to do it. There's a way to do it. If you accidentally do it, there's a way to handle that. There's all kinds of ways of dealing with this, but just what this is saying, I think, is, don't be a permanent like flatulator or whatever you call that, you know?
Be respectful
Be
with
respectful, Go outside, open a window or
not
something.
everyone wants to experience that. Most
Definitely
of us
not.
don't.
Most people are pretty darn forgiving and might take it with a, lighthearted sort of approach and a friendly
Right.
approach most of the time.
Right. That's
And that's
true.
good. But we need to find safe space to really, share how we're feeling with people. I noticed that sometimes, actually at the Dharma Center more than anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I think it's because people feel so safe,
for
that I'm
sure.
kind of like blown away. I'll just be like, hey, I'm just doing like casual, like, hey, what's up? How's it going? And they're like, well, then
Yeah.
I'm like, oops, oops, I didn't mean to
Opened
open that. I
opened the
didn't mean to open
box.
the book.
Close it.
No, not like that. But it does, but it's because I think there's safety. People are
Yeah.
like, I'm finally with people who will accept me no matter what I say right now. And I can be vulnerable and, there's whatever, there's safety there. And so
Yeah.
I think that people feel a lot more willing to open the book there. And
Right.
I think that's a good thing. We want to encourage.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. It's just a
Right.
funny experience, where I'm like, most of the time people generally in your everyday life are not very open bookish when it comes to
Right.
their emotions.
Right. Well, and I think that's maybe where kind of the middle way approach, we can think of this one because I think you're right that a lot of times people are fearful of opening the book at all, and so they just keep it like slammed shut.
Yeah,
And so being in a space like you were saying that's safe to be able to open up and share, that's a really good thing. And I think what's more being said here, of course, is like that. Just super not being aware of how you're affecting other people, really not considering your emotions when they come in, like being very unaware of them. And so just acting out of like impulse.
yeah,
Whereas what you're describing is very much like, hey, we're in conversation, we're opening up to one another, we're safe.
yeah,
So yeah.
yep, yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good one. I don't think we've had
Keep
that
opening
one.
up, y'all. Oh, look at this gorgeous tanka of Shakyamuni Buddha. Beautiful. Oh, it's a miniature votive painting. I love a good miniature. It's 11 and a half by almost 11 centimeters. How sweet.
Like 5 by 4 plus inches.
Oh,
So it's
it's
tiny.
so detailed. I love tiny.
You know what I like? I like his smile.
Mm,
You don't see smile. It's almost like a smirk.
yeah,
Like it's like a knowing. It looks like he's looking at me, like I see
I
you
know.
and
I know.
I know you and I'm smiling at you.
Wow. Whoever created this painting was incredible with it being so small and yet so expressive. Very
Hmm.
cool.
I bet it was even more vibrant back in the day,
Yeah, certainly.
right? Because whoever made this did it back in like the early thousands.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool.
Huh.
Ink, color, and gold on
And
paper.
those are the mighty lions supporting his throne.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
I wonder, speaking of like wealth tonight and thinking about museums and art and whatnot, I don't know if you heard about the
Oh
Versailles
yeah.
like
Yeah.
break-in or like in midday. It wasn't even a break-in, it was midday.
Yeah.
And all those jewels that were stolen.
Yeah.
Um, and it was so I was just thinking about it tonight because we're talking about financial difficulties and I got kind of in the weeds about like, well, what actually is wealth? What is value? And so what does it really mean when I'm having like money troubles? And that really ultimately value, wealth is all just designated by mind. And it doesn't actually even exist. But it's that we all kind of agree as a society that if you have this many numbers and zeros in some imaginary place, that you are wealthy and you get to do, and get whatever you want. So I kind of, I went kind of like over the top a little bit.
It's just a concept,
It's
bro.
just a concept, bro. So what even are jewels? But really though, like I was kind of I was genuinely thinking that like why do we care about jewels?
I,
That's it's just
Only
that
because we've agreed. We live in
we've
a
agreed.
reality, like a consensus reality. And
Yeah,
people way back when were like, these are hella pretty. Look, like I
they
like
are
them.
pretty.
Look, I like this. And
Yeah,
somebody else is like, I like it too. And that's,
I like
well,
it too.
now you got
Yeah,
something
yeah,
valuable.
for sure. Yeah, and it was probably like mined and created through a lot of like blood and pain. So people probably think that that adds value in some weird
Yeah.
sick way. Yeah,
Well, so the usefulness or the more like the likability, the thing that like somebody likes it for some reason, maybe because it's useful, maybe because it's pretty, maybe whatever, and the rarity.
the
Those
rare.
those
Yeah,
two things, right? So, because if it's something that's really wonderful and beautiful and pretty and useful, but it's abundant and everywhere, and there's, everybody has access to it, that doesn't usually translate to wealth of any sort.
isn't that so interesting? Like, we'll get back to like the
Yeah.
the topic and the reason why I was thinking about it, but like that what's actually abundant isn't considered necessarily valuable,
Right. Look at water, right? Water is the most precious thing to us, and we're about to
and it's
see
becoming,
it's coming, right? Because
yeah,
we haven't treated it properly, and Nestle has taken over most of it or
oh yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
but we're gonna see, we're already seeing, what happens when there's water shortages. It leads to wars and all
hmm,
kinds of strife and people in terrible situations where they really do value water, but people who have a lot of water don't value it at all.
totally, yeah. Speaking of that, Washingtonians don't value water. It's interesting. I'm for, being
Mhm.
from like living in the Central Valley for a long time, I would like, turn off faucets and not flush toilets when I didn't have to.
Right.
And now up here people do whatever they want. But anyways, so I was thinking about this topic recently because I now have a new bill once a month, $600 a month now, because my student loans
Ah,
have
Judd.
to, I know, I have to start paying them again, because I was enrolled in the SAVE plan, which is this kind of like lower income repayment program that has now been erased by the Trump administration. And they've imposed pretty strict kind of new repayment options. Um, I could defer, but I can't really because that would, make me ineligible for public service loan forgiveness for the months that I don't pay. Anyways, so I've been thinking about money and what it means to me and why it can be so stressful. Um, I do have to say, if this had happened 3 years ago, especially like 7, 8 years ago, I would have been so enormously stressed. Um, I would be kind of panicking, right? Like, how am I going to put
I'm
together
kind of
enough?
panicking for you right now.
Thank you. Well, you know what's cool? I'm not panicking.
Okay.
I'm okay. Um, and I know, I absolutely know 100%, 1,000% that that is because of my Dharma practice
Okay.
and what I've learned. And so I was thinking tonight we could talk about, our own experiences with financial stress and also the different practices that Dharma might offer to cope. How's that sound?
Sounds practical, useful for the moment for sure.
Great.
Man, I'm so
Yeah.
glad to hear that you're not stressing about that. That's a hard one. That's a bitter pill to
Yeah.
swallow.
It's a bitter pill for sure.
I bet you
Um,
won't be voting for Trump again.
My guy, he's really screwed up this time. Yep. Um, well, I don't know if you'd like to share a little bit about some things that maybe you've experienced. I'm
Oh my
certainly happy
gosh.
to jump in too, but
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Okay. So I can definitely relate to the incredible amount of pain that comes from lack of resources
Yeah.
and specifically lack of money. I have had multiple times in my life where, like I didn't have anything, like not like
Totally.
nothing, like no, yeah, like it was like not even month to month, it was like living on borrowed money and,
Hmm.
like bad times. And I know it doesn't just feel bad, it's like being sick. Like
Yeah.
I remember, multiple times, where I would wake up, I would have a hard time going to sleep at
Yeah.
night. And then I'd like wake up in the middle of the night, sort of like in cold sweats and just like my heart up in my chest and just this
Yeah.
terrible feeling of oppressive dread. The whole universe is crushing, right?
Mm.
And then like if finally fell asleep, I wouldn't want to wake up in the morning. I would just be
Yep.
like, no, no, I don't even want to. I know it's all bad. I don't want to greet this.
Right.
So I know that the pain and the anguish that comes with lack of money is real. I
Hmm.
also know, so my earliest experiences with it, what I just described, it was immense, terrible suffering. My most recent experience, in which I eventually declared bankruptcy,
Hmm.
was much different. Still hard, still hard,
Mm.
but a lot more clarity, a lot more spaciousness, a lot easier, like where it was like, okay, I do what I can do, and not worry too much about it. So, and that's definitely because of my Dharma practice. So I can say that I know for a fact from my own experience that this stuff works.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I mean, we can definitely talk about how we can reduce all that suffering because it
Yeah,
is no joke, Jack.
for
Like it's
sure.
like it's
It's no
real.
joke.
When you
And it's about
especially
survival.
it's not just, like if it was like like so one of the worst feelings is this, if it was just me, like okay, that's one thing. I don't mind.
Right, right.
Whatever. I can couch surf or sleep in a car or whatever, and that's very fortunate if you have a car to sleep in. But I'm just
Right.
saying, like
Yeah.
if it was just me, I could kind of deal. But when there's like little mouths looking at you, little, eyes
Yeah.
needing things,
Oh my God.
and people dependent on you, that feeling is you'll do anything. You'll do
Yeah.
anything, right?
Right.
You're like,
Right.
oh, what do I do? I got kidneys. I'll sell one, I don't know,
Right.
right? Not too far from me. I don't live in a very rich area, but not too far from me. There's a reason why there's a plasma donation place right there, right? Like that plasma and blood donation isn't coming from the affluent areas where it's coming
No.
from the places where people are willing to sell their bodies. And where I live, people are selling their bodies in more than one way
Right.
in
Right.
order to acquire resources, right? In order to acquire money.
Yeah.
So people are, like we'll go to extreme lengths in order to just get a little bit of money.
Yeah. For
So
sure.
yeah, this is serious business.
It's really serious, yeah. And I was listening to a a video by Doug's Dharma that was very
Oh,
helpful
yeah.
about kind of wealth as discussed in Dharma. And he was describing how, the Buddha was very neutral about wealth, but it was just mostly about, well, how do you think about it and how do you use it? And that poverty was a real societal harm, right? Because it creates these moral uh, conflicts, right? Where you, in some ways, have to do things that you otherwise wouldn't do, like steal or, yeah, sell your body. And because what else are you going to do? You're going to let your children starve? Like no one's going to do that. And so, yeah, this kind of this, yes, wealth is neutral, and the way that it functions in a society, we have to be more ethical about it. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that the whole, the stress that comes from it is so much about survival, and how am I going to survive if I'm not able um, to pay for what I need. And so I think, part of why my situation's different right now is because I have more resources than I did, 10 years ago. That's one simple reason. So I'm not um, as stressed as I would have been. But also, I think some of the very basic skills that I've developed, basic mindfulness practices, like just settling, breathing, right? Being aware of the present moment, my surroundings,
Yeah.
and just really seeing, well, what is here? What is, rather than kind of all the what ifs, about what's going to
Yeah.
happen when I have $100 in my bank account. You're right. What's going to happen, so on and so forth. Rather just seeing, okay, well, I'm right here. And I have my friends. I have enough money to have a roof over my head. Those are good things.
Yeah.
Um, and I think, other things that are really important and kind of like foundational practices. One, Tonglen, you mentioned earlier. And especially when I imagine how many other people in the world are going through something similar or worse, right? There's so many people who make the same income that I do and are going to have that bill next month who have children, right? And like you were saying, like how, like when you have kids, there's so much more stress and responsibility. And so I know for myself, like I feel grateful that I don't have that level of stress. And so
Hmm.
trying to, imagine with Tonglen, if I could take on all of that stress from other people, and just imagine bringing it all in and transforming it into what they need: security, peace of mind, a roof over their heads. All those things can be really calming, um, and and yeah, also feel like okay, I can do this. Like I can take this on, right?
Yeah.
Um and then very simply too is like looking at the narratives, right? Like am I
Oh, yeah.
am I creating things in my head that aren't necessarily there? Um or are not necessarily true. And like could I actually cope even if the worst did happen? Um, so I think it's really important to see, okay, what's the difference between the thought and the facts?
Right.
And that, my mind is going to come up with all different things. So really coming back. Everything is workable,
Yeah,
as Lauren likes to say.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't help but think that the very thing that you're talking about is, contained within the metaphor of the two arrows, right?
Ah, yes.
Right. So the idea basically being that in life we get shot with some kind of arrow, right? That's called the
Mhm.
first arrow. We can call that job loss, debt, or a $600 student loan coming due every month. Whatever
Mhm.
it is, it happens.
It
And
happened.
it's inescapable. You're actually going to
Yeah.
get hit by an arrow in life. If you're alive, you're going to suffer one of these painful events.
Yes.
That's true, and that's inescapable. That's what we were talking about at the outset of the show. It's not
Right.
gonna, that's not gonna, the arrows aren't gonna stop flying. But then there's this notion of the secondary or third or fourth or fifth arrows, which are shot by ourselves, right? We fire those arrows into ourselves, and that's our like our reaction, our anxiety, our story, our narrative around it, all of our what ifs. And I'll tell you what, from my own personal experience, when I woke up in the middle of the night in cold sweats, it wasn't because of the initial pain. It was because my mind was just spinning on
Racing.
all that other stuff, right? And so what I think is, when I was listening to what you were saying, one of the key things is that yes, Tonglen, yes, a number of other practices actually that will be helpful here, but none of them are meant to take away the
Right.
pain of the first arrow. In
Right.
fact, the best thing you can do is to feel that first pain, like be with it. If you run away into your stories, into your narrative about what that means and all the what ifs and things that are going to come, the worst case scenarios, then you're fighting these shadows, these things. They're apparitions of your mind, right? And
Right.
think about it drains your energy. It makes it so hard to deal with the actual freaking arrow that's stuck in you.
Yeah.
Right? Then it means that you, like I said, like then you sleep and you get depressed and you get anxious and you can't deal and you can't see and you can't think, right? Everything gets real muddy, and that's actually a very bad place to be if you're in financial trouble. When you're in
Right.
financial trouble, you need to be able to see very clearly what the source of the trouble is and what you can do to get out of it, right? And
Hmm.
so to me, like it's on the one hand, you be with that pain of that first arrow, sit with it. There's nothing wrong with doing a meditation where you just feel the pain and the
Totally. Yeah.
hurt, right? And then there will be some kind of revealing that kind of happens in there. You'll see where the arrow is stuck, so to speak. You'll see
Yeah.
how deep it is. You'll see like, well, if I move it like this, and like you'll be able to see a little bit clearer what you can do.
For
So
sure.
there's that aspect of it. And then there's the other part, which is, okay, we feel that, and then we can do things like Tonglen. Honestly, the one of the best practices I ever experienced when I was broke
Mm.
was generosity practice.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
for sure.
what is it that the Dalai Lama says? He's fond of saying all the happiness in the world comes from thinking about others, and all the
Mm.
suffering in the world comes from thinking of ourselves. So when we are stuck by this financial pain, we're going to suffer more when we sit there and think about ourselves. Woe
Yeah.
is me. Woe is me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Woe is you. But like you just said, Jack, there's actually right now probably at least another billion people on this planet, at least,
Yeah.
who are suffering a similar pain as you.
Mm.
So, Tonglen practice, yes. Maybe even taking on that, may my suffering, may I be the only one
Yeah.
suffering this, right? Oh,
Right.
yeah. But
Right.
actual generosity practice, you think you
Yes.
then you think you've got nothing. You got something.
You got something.
You
Yeah.
got
And it doesn't have to be, money. It doesn't have to be stuff. It can be your time, your energy, your presence.
mental offerings.
Yeah.
Give mental offerings.
Sure. Yeah.
Offer some water to to your something to the hungry ghosts outside, right?
Right.
Like it will help.
It will.
It
Yeah.
because it's going to counteract the source of that pain, right? It's actually the secondary arrows are like prevented from stinging or hitting you when you're counteracting them in this way.
Right, right. Yeah, it's like we need to withdraw the fuel because that's another kind of metaphor that's helpful is like, you got a bonfire on the beach. The fuel is kind of like that first initial pain or the fire is the first initial pain. And then the fuel, what keeps it going is all those thoughts,
Yep.
the aversion to loss and, the attachment to gain and,
Yep.
throwing all of that on the fire, the, expectations that things should remain, the way they are or get better, right?
Yeah.
Financially when, that's just an idea. So kind of extracting the fuel from the fire to let that kind of burn out and die out, and then you can, right, like what you're saying, actually see, well, what is it that I'm genuinely working with?
Right. Right.
So
And if you could genuinely see what you're actually working with, then you can apply once you've come to terms with the sort of emotional as and the reality of the situation, right?
mm,
Then you can kick in a little bit of Shantideva logic, just
mm,
one little thought, right?
mhm,
You can be
mhm.
like, if there's something that I can do to fix this problem, then worrying
Yeah,
about it's not going to help. I should go and do the thing that's going to
go
fix
do
the
it.
problem. If there's nothing I could do to fix the problem, I shouldn't be worrying about it because there's
Yeah,
nothing I could do to fix the problem. Worrying will not, cannot, will never help. It will only ever
totally.
hurt, right?
Yeah,
So I think
yeah,
but we can't go straight there. I think that
yeah.
I
Right.
think
You
it's
need to feel the emotional part
yes.
first. Yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just it's
Be
doing the intellectual thing when all of this is saying no.
yeah. That's avoidance.
That's avoidance.
That's
Yes.
avoidance, and we don't want to do that. Don't just jump into them. I love that. That's my style, right?
Yeah, for
But
sure. Yeah,
well, I said
yeah.
I love it. I don't. I hate it, but it's my style.
Hmm.
Just intellectualize, make it all go away. Oh, it's all impermanent, and everything goes away anyway, and you can't take it with you when you die, and right? Like,
Right.
but that doesn't actually tackle the pain of this
Yeah,
arrow stuck in you, right? But
right.
it's a process, and I think that using logic, using the intellect is good, but maybe go to the pain, the tender part first,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And the
And
other
to see the
thing,
fear, to see
yeah,
that there's a lot of fear. And so can I welcome that feeling and just be present with it?
that's
Yeah,
right.
not
And I
sure.
think I think there's a promise in all of this, which is that regardless of the source of these kinds of troubles, almost always, if you just are like come into presence with like where you are right now, take a deep breath, get into your body, hunker in and like hunker down, and just be very present with what's in your immediate experience,
Hmm.
you'll find that you're okay.
Yeah.
You're okay, right? Like, sure, if a hungry tiger debt collector is at your door, maybe you need to deal with that, right?
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you're lying in bed, for
Right.
example, and stress has got you, real worried and you can't sleep and all of that, okay. But
Mm.
just like, look, you're okay.
Yeah. I'm right here.
I'm
Yeah.
right here, I'm breathing. Look at that.
Yeah. Right.
And I love that little, I think no matter how it came to be, that whether it's because of presidents or because of our own ignorance and
Mm.
habitual behavior or whatever, I think it's still fair to take that Tara Brach approach, put our hand on our heart and say,
Yeah.
it's not my fault. It's not your fault.
Mm.
It's okay, right?
Hmm.
It's gonna be okay. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Like a little
Yeah.
pep talk, right?
That's really
You're
sweet.
not to be, it's okay. You can blame yourself all you want, but that's not gonna help.
Yeah. Right. Right. Oh, this has been so helpful. I really appreciated hearing some of the strategies that have worked for you and just being able to talk about like it's heartening and good reminders that it is okay ultimately. I'm gonna be okay.
And there's no, one thing we didn't touch on, I know we're done with the show at this point, but one thing that I want to be, I just want to name it, is that in our culture, there's a lot of shame
Yes.
around financial insecurity, a lot of shame. If you
Mhm.
have a safe Dharma center, you have a place, you have somebody that you feel safe with, talk about it, let it
Yeah.
out. You don't have to be an open book. But you can open your book up to those who you can trust,
Yeah.
right? And even though it's painful to admit sometimes, all of this shame and guilt and whatever, that's our culture. That's the
Yeah.
capitalistic culture that's doing that to us, right? That's also not our fault, our
Yeah.
conditioning.
That's
And
not
that
you.
healing begins with shining some light on there and letting other people see the source of our pain.
Yeah. Right. And that you're absolutely not alone.
You're not alone.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. It's been a pleasure. If you can make a donation, if you've got, even just a couple bucks, lionsdoordharmacenter.org, we'd super appreciate it. Otherwise, we'll see you next